call you. Uh, I hope that if you're here, I hope you can hear me. If you're here, let me know in the comments, say hello, uh, and welcome back. If you're here for the first time, this is me just sharing messages with you from my journey, my life, my experiences, mostly interacting with content written by Dan Miller, author of 48 Days to the Work You Love. I'm preparing to facilitate workshops around that content. As a facilitator, I've become licensed to deliver those workshops. And part of that for me is going through the process of the exercises, the brainstorms, all of the material that they've given us that would be included in those workshops. I'm sharing my experiences interacting with that. So if you're here, say hello. Let me know you can hear me before I get started. It's always nice to know that someone can hear and that everything is working as it's supposed to. Let's see here. If I go to Facebook, can I see if it's working? I want to make sure it's working so I'm not just talking to myself again. Yeah, so it looks like I am live. Perfect. All right, I'll get started. So let's see. Well, first of all, you may have noticed, I don't know if you can tell that I named this a daily dose of Dan, but I'm open to suggestions. I'm not sure how to talk about this live stream specifically. So, hey, Christy, good to see you. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. It's been a while since we've chatted. So I'm open to input. Let me know in the comments what you would call this section of your day. Good to see you, Will. Thanks for joining us. All right. Yeah. So now I know you can hear me for sure. Well, hopefully you can hear me, but you can at least see me. You're here. As I was saying, I named this the Daily Dose of Dan temporarily because I just don't know what else to call it. Will, you've been hanging out for a little while. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know if you have suggestions, but I'll keep it as is for now. Anyway, let's jump into my thoughts for the day, and I'll come back to your comments in just a moment. So let me start by saying, out of the 48 Days material, one of the things that Dan Miller talks about, he says, rich people understand that the order to success is be, do, and have. And if you're coming from a military community, that might sound vaguely familiar because it's close to something we know well in the Army. And then poor people believe that the order is to have, do, and be. No, you have to be what you want first. Then you can do what needs to be done to have what you want to have. And that's really the whole concept that we've been talking about over the last, it's almost 2 weeks now. So those of you that have been here, thank you. Those of you that are new, thank you. I'm here because you inspire me to do this each day. And these messages are hopefully helping you in some form or fashion. Christy, since you're new, I'll share. Yesterday, I mentioned that I had set up a private Facebook community. If you want to continue the conversation, feel free to join us. That's the Clarity Collective is the name of the group. I don't have it here, but it's Clarity Collective Members is the end of the title string in the search or in the web address bar if you can't find it directly through the name. So I found myself stretching and wondering what message I would share with you today. And I landed on corporate culture again. I know we talked about it briefly before, but see, the thing about corporate life is that our society has created a system that for many people makes you feel like you're boxed in. And let's break that down for a second. So think about the corporate environment, the military structure, and the pay raises, because at the end of the day, we're also talking about finances, right? That need for, or that feeling that you believe you need that financial security that a traditional job might offer you, or corporate life might offer you. And all along, I've been telling you that it's not true for everyone, and it may not be true for you. That doesn't necessarily mean entrepreneurship is for you either. But finding work that has a great balance of different things is important, whatever that looks like for you. So incremental pay raises. Corporate and military have incremental pay raises that are really based on whether or not you meet the standard, right? There's no true measure of performance and adequacy in performance when it comes to corporate culture, for the most part. There are plenty of exceptions, don't get me wrong. But generally speaking, if you're listening to this, you probably can relate to what I'm talking about. But there's no method or basis for encouraging people to be better performers when you really examine how that works. And my friend David Hancock, actually, his co-author Bobby Kipper. So I got to post this book really quickly. Let's see here. So they wrote a book called The Power of Performance-Driven Thinking. David is a friend of mine. He lives not too far from me. He's actually a mentor to me, and he happens to be a publisher as well. So anyway, they wrote this book, and I was fortunate enough to have been given a copy for some other interviews I did with David, and I can't help but go back to this book as I start talking about the different things I've shared with you. And really, it comes down to, mindset and performance. What can you choose today to be better? So they talk about this concept or this phenomenon in their book. And here's the deal. I choose every day to get up, to exercise, if I choose to, right? I can choose not to, but I've found that even light exercise, walking in the mornings, just helps to freshen my mind and start my day the way I want to start my day. Anyway, so I fill my mornings with those sorts of things. I get up each day, I exercise. I incorporate some sort of positive influences, whether that's podcasts, books, prayer, and devotion. That's how I choose to start my day. And I find that it helps me to think about all things performance-driven related, mindset related, and puts me in the right frame of mind to start my day and be a performer. So I might turn on the news and catch the weather, but usually these days I don't have much interest in what they have to say, if I'm being completely honest. It's nothing but negativity for the most part, and I choose to eliminate that as much as I can. And then I choose to perform, right? If I don't, I also don't get the results, the rewards, the financial benefit, or other benefits of being a performer, especially since leaving the military in 2018 and moving into entrepreneurship. The days that I haven't performed, I get no results. And I like to eat. I imagine that many of you also like to eat, and I know that my daughter would be upset if she didn't have an opportunity to eat. So I do my best to perform each day, and some days I don't perform as well as others, and then I take the time to reflect on why that may be true for that day, and it just helps me continue to put myself in the right frame of mind moving into the next day. So let's see. I have some more notes here. So some days I do have to be more intentional about tuning out negativity and honing in on why I might not be in the right frame of mind in that moment, and put effort into how can I address this situation and simply perform better than I am right now. As I was considering what was on my heart to share with you today, I also realized that I needed to be intentional about performing. I've shared in the past few weeks about a bit about the direction I'm going in, So I just wanted to, I've told you that I'll tell you more about that in the future, but so I'm just going to tell you right now what that kind of looks like. I'm going to lay it out for you. And maybe it's just me sharing, and maybe it's me performing. Either way, I felt like it was time to share these things. And so one of the things I just mentioned is the 48 days workshops that I'm preparing to start delivering. And I can talk more about that as we continue forward, but for now, I'll just leave it with that's one of the things on my plate. But I've been shifting my business focus. I found that, while I was looking for things that I was meant to do, that process of I need to earn an income, I need to be able to provide food for my daughter and for me. I noticed that at some point I was chasing the wrong thing. I started off by looking at what would allow me to make an income that was equivalent to or exceeded my lifestyle expectations, rather than actually looking at the tangibles of the work I was going to be doing. And I'm going to tell you, if you're starting a business or you're considering starting a business and you're looking at the financial aspects first, I'll just share that in my experience, it doesn't work. And you end up in the same place you were before, unfulfilled, not finding the clients to serve. People obviously just don't knock on your door as soon as you put up a website and a banner that says, "Hey, I'm in business." Unless you're selling something that everybody wants, is unique, and is in the right location. You can get lucky, but generally speaking, it just doesn't work. So don't do that. If you're listening to me, I hope that at least that's one takeaway for you. But okay, back on track. So it starts with coaching. I do offer one-on-one coaching. Now, who's that for? Let me clarify here. Right now, it's for those people who are searching for how to navigate their journey, looking for accountability in the process, and that looks like work or entrepreneurship, right? Because there's some accountability, some thought partnership that happens in a coaching session. And so I do offer that for people. And I'm not selling that here. If that's something you want to talk about, I encourage you to reach out to me, absolutely. But just know I'm just sharing with you right now. I'm not selling to you right now. I want to make that distinction. So, ideally for me, that leads into the next thing. So that looks a lot like working with entrepreneurs or people working into entrepreneurship for them in building a business, because I can also talk to them about developing early strategies, developing early marketing plans, getting clarity on the direction that they're going, getting clarity on the messaging that they're going to use in that process. All of the different skills that I've picked up along the way allow me to contribute well in that space. And I love having one-on-one conversations with people and just getting to know them, getting to know what's in their heart, and helping them find that direction, discover those aha moments. That, for me, that's just a great, rewarding experience. And I know, we talked briefly the other day about mentoring in the military, and that was one of the things, right? And that's how I landed there. So that's one of the shifts I'm making, is to offer that level of coaching for people. The next level is serving those entrepreneurs in the next phase of how do I put all of the marketing pieces together, the technology to make it go. And there's a lot of puzzle pieces behind the scenes that people don't often think about. And so I have the technical aptitude and interest in those puzzle pieces to help them make that function. So I'm serving people in that capacity and helping those entrepreneurs make all of the different things click and work for executing their marketing, which leads to the next level for me, which is serving small agency owners, creatives mostly, who are familiar with the technology that's required to make that happen, but they don't have the capacity to do that, to serve their clients and serve them well and grow their business, or they just don't like doing the technology aspects of connecting all those puzzle pieces, whatever that looks like. So that's really the three stages of offerings that I'm working on right now. And if you look at my website today, you'll see it's still fully focused on a growth marketing agency, digital marketing agency, serving clients to execute their marketing for them. But that's not where I am. That's not where I want to be. And it's the process of going through the 48 days material that allowed me to discover that fully and really hone in on what is it I enjoy doing, what it is it that I will be most rewarding to me. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. So, well, that was a lot, I know, and mostly focused on me. And I want to move this back to you. So yesterday I offered a few questions. If you're joining us today, you can go back and watch that video on my Facebook page. But they were 7 career questions that I offered up. And I'd love to know if you worked through those or any of the questions I've offered this week and what your reflections have been, what comments you have for me, and what questions you have for me today. Again, I'll share that the Facebook community is a great place to just continue our conversations, to share challenges that you're facing, to touch base, offer support, encourage other people. There's many things that we could leverage that for. So let's see. Looking at the comments right now, let's see. Right now, finding the initial capital for my next rental venture is my largest concern. Sharing in this context is performing. Hey, I appreciate that comment. I agree. That's one of the things I landed on, thinking about how I can best serve others and how I can continue to perform here. And delivering this message each day is part of intentionally performing. And hopefully it's also contributing to enhanced performance along the way. When I first started these live videos, so almost 2 weeks ago, I didn't have a clue. I still don't have a clue, but I'm getting better every day. So that's encouraging, and I appreciate that. And that's the kind of conversation I love to hear. Again, that's about me, but and you're welcome, Will. Will says, thank you for sharing your story. So rental ventures, let's talk about that for a second, because you may or may not know that I have also, in all of the things discovering what I want to be when I grow up, I also, served as a personal financial coach. And here's what I have to say about that. My line of thinking goes along with Dave Ramsey's clearly. And if you're not familiar with Dave Ramsey, which I think you may be, finding the initial capital for your next rental venture. Here's the deal. I would look at how can I, as quickly as possible, pay off all of my debts, pay off my current mortgage on the home I'm living in, if you have one, and then gathering as much cash as I could for a rental. Because here's what Dave Ramsey says, and I know he says it a lot in various capacities, but think about it for a moment. If you don't owe anything on your rental, then that income that you generate from your rental, one, will contribute to the potential for more rentals in the future, and you grow that. And as you build that inventory of rentals, it becomes easier if you don't have to pay for them. The other side of that is that you then can charge a reasonable price for rentals, and you're not going to negotiate to a lower rate simply because of a demand to get someone in there so that you can pay the mortgage on that property. It eliminates a bunch of security risk, a bunch of stress, and gives you the financial stability to do even more. That's my thoughts on rental properties. What else do you have for me? I'd love to hear questions, comments. Christy, anything that you have to say, love to hear from you if you're still with us. And if not, that's okay too. And Will, you added the 4. Thank you. Okay. Well, I'm going to wait just a second to see if there's any more comments. I don't know what other thoughts I have to share with you today. But well, yeah, I will share this. So if you know someone um, who doesn't know what they want to be when they grow up, maybe feels like they need a new job, but they're not sure where to start. Maybe their job is killing them. People who are getting laid off or forced into not working because of our current situation. If you know people who want to start their own business, people who've been affected by that downsizing and they're not sure what to do, people who maybe feel like they don't have an education or lack the education they need to advance in their life and they feel stuck, or they don't believe that they have any marketable job skills, I'd love to talk to them. And I'd encourage you, if you would, to invite those people specifically to this live stream, one, but then to the private Facebook community too, because those are the people who I believe right now can benefit the most from these messages. That's what we're talking about, is how to navigate those things to improve our lives by finding the work and creating the life that we love. That's the entire purpose here and the message that I have for you. Christy, you were across the room. That's okay. I got a text earlier from someone else who told me they weren't going to make it to my live stream today. And let me just tell you, I'm not taking attendance. I feel like the message, I shared this before, but my friend, Dr. Fred Jones, wonderful man. And Dr. Jones, if you happen to see this, I've had technical issues with my podcast. It will be published soon. I have to say that. But I'm not taking attendance here. He said that each one of us has unique experiences, unique education that's formal and informal, that allows us to have an individual perspective on life, on work, on all things. And he said something inspiring to a group of people on a Facebook Live of all places, that was, if we don't do the work to share that message, then the potential exists that someone who desperately needed to hear it today will never have access to it. Now, he was talking about why people should consider writing a book, and he helps people write and publish their own books, ebooks and other platforms. But the message is the same, right? If I don't come here and serve this audience with what I have to talk about today, that you might have needed to hear, then I haven't done you justice, and I'm depriving you of something you might need to hear. So Christy says, this is what I so need to help with, plus the motivation. How the heck, when you feel so down about everything, to get the motivation? Christy, I feel like, and maybe someone else will back me up, but I feel like that's one thing I hope to impart here, that you may be able to take away day to day. The Daily Dose of Dan. I don't know that I like that name. I'm open to suggestions, but that's where I landed today. Anyway, the idea is to help you, arm you with the tools and the resources to do just that. That's a lot of why I'm here, is to help people who may have felt like I did. I felt trapped. I felt stuck. I felt like life was being drained out of me until I started taking deliberate steps to move in the direction that I truly wanted to go. And part of that process for me was I had to actually discover, and I don't know the answer. I don't know that where I'm at right now is where I'm supposed to be. I know it feels better now than it did. And so I'm moving into that direction. And Jason, no, my hair's great, man. Go back and watch Point Break. I'm at the beach. I can't help it. And once it gets past the ears, maybe it'll stop flaring out. But Jason, good to see you, brother. I'm glad you're here. Will says he's been running under the Robert Kiyosaki model for a while. Love Robert Kiyosaki. I was actually going to share a quote from him the other day, and I may still, albeit a quite smaller scale. Specifically, debt that contributes to cash flow equals good. Debt that removes from cash flow equals bad. That's right. Moving into the Dave Ramsey model feels better. It just takes work. It does take work. And isn't that what we're talking about here? You have to make that choice, man. Do the work and get to where you're trying to go, brother. Yeah, so Christy, I hope that you're able to take something away. I want to go back to that your statement for just a second. What do you do when you feel so down about everything to get the motivation? Well, you look for those positive influences. But here's one tool I shared. It's a simple process. At the end of the day today, I want you to write down 3 things that you're grateful for, or 3 things that are small wins in your life today, just today. And then I want you to do it again tomorrow. And then I want you to do it again the next day. I want you to practice that 3 things that you're grateful for or that were wins for you throughout the day, no matter how small they might seem, and reflect on them for a moment as you go through that process. Come back to me in a week and tell me how that's helped you or not. I challenge you to do that because I'm a true believer that that simple process will help bring about more positive change in your life right now. Christy says she likes the daily dose of Dan. Thank you, Christy. And then Dan's positive daily dose. Well, let's be real, Will. Not every day is positive, right? I started yesterday telling you that I had it wasn't really negative self-talk, but probably more defeative talk than positive talk. And that's just me being real, because we all live life and we all have things that trouble us. We all have struggles. I don't wake up every day in a great mood, ready to do all things and tackle all of the things. There are things on my list right now that I keep putting off that I shouldn't be. I know I shouldn't be. I'm not perfect by any means. And I do hope to share positive messages with you and encouragement, but some of that is just me getting real and saying, look, this is, the things that all of us have to struggle with at some point or another. And maybe they look different because you are different, but yeah, so I appreciate that input. I don't know that I'd call it positive. Maybe just Dan's daily dose of Dan. I don't know. If we'll see what happens. Maybe it sticks. But hey, I appreciate all of you being here. Any last comments, questions? I'm happy to take them. Of course, again, the Facebook community, Jason, I don't know if you're still here or if you heard, but the Facebook community is the Clarity Collective. If any of this resonates with you and you want to carry on the conversation, then please feel free to request to join our group. Okay, I'm not quite sure. I know I said a lot of things, Will, but lately it's been your existence for a few years now, also, or 2, and not really sure the point on that one. I apologize. I get caught up in the moment sometimes. So I know it's probably doing the hard work, right? And just getting out there that message I shared at the beginning. Let me go back to my notes, which was, in order to be successful, you have to be what you want first. Then you can do what needs to be done so that you can have what you want to have, right? Type the group in. Yeah, absolutely. Let me see here. Give me a second, Christy. Let's see. The group is the Clarity Collective. And there it is. And then let's see. If you cannot find it by the name, Christy, then you may have to, I don't know the full address off the top of my head, but it's facebook.com, I think, /groups or group, but I think it's Clarity Collective members. If you can't find it, shoot me a Facebook message and I'll send you the link to the group. That's probably the easiest way to get it. But this is I think that's the end portion of the address. The positivity message. Oh, okay. I got it, Will. Thanks. All right. Well, I think that wraps us up for today. And I, again, am thankful for all of you that have joined me. I'm thankful for those who have been here regularly, and you help inspire me each day, even yesterday when I just wasn't feeling it. And so I'm appreciative of each and every one of you. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. And we'll see you again, same time tomorrow. Take care.